For us to chat today. So, hello, 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 and welcome to Intercultural Spark. All right. Hello, hello. I was going to pull Greg out. I'm actually going to put myself over my branding so you don't have to have that. Um, I was going to pull you out, which is what I usually do when I introduce the show. So someone's not just there smiling, but you had such a big smile on your face. I'm like, we just need that. Let's just have that smile. So welcome to Intercultural Spark. I am going to talk about you for a minute. So I won't make you stare at me while I talk about you. I'm going to talk about Greg because I want to talk about today's show, which is it's so fascinating to talk to someone who just said like, I don't think this life fits me. So I'm just going to change everything and find the space where I feel free. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Greg Samms. The company is Lifeaholic Costa Rica, which he founded with his wife Davia. Davia is actually off because her daughter is having a baby today. So we're delighted to be joined by Greg to talk about like, oh my gosh, what it's like to look. Everybody talks about doing this, about looking at the world going, here's the way I'd like to live, and then making it happen. That is absolutely positively powerful and phenomenal. So kudos to you. We're going to start on the um uh so funny. I laugh sometimes. I stop myself being a person who is not a person of color, who's white. Like, we're going to start on the negative because for understand with Davia, and I know you also felt like I'm not going to live here. Davia always said, like, why would I live in a country that doesn't like me? And it was a lot of the microaggressions, as she calls herself, a melanated person. So why don't we actually start with that and then we'll go to the vision that you've
Okay.
created? But
Yeah.
but how did that happen in terms of like this just this country's not going to work for me, you
Yeah.
know?
This is not going to work. I was raised in the criminal courts in Miami, right? And my first day was so traumatic in the felony division. That's, you work your way up. You start at juvenile, you do traffic,
Mm.
and then you get to
And this is you as an attorney. You
this is
started
me as a
there.
lawyer, young
Yeah.
lawyer. And my first
Sorry,
day,
when you said I raised myself, I started in the criminal courts, that's I was like as an attorney.
yeah,
So
as an attorney. So my first day, I'm walking into the felony division,
Mhm.
and I'm walking on the floor, getting ready to go to my court, but we can't really pass yet because all the corrections officers stop in the hallway. Like, what's going on? What's going on? And they're leading all the prisoners out to go to court in chains, and you can't cross the line. So you watch like this long line of men just going across. And then I got into my courtroom, and the judge is holding calendar, and somebody passed out on the floor, and the judge said, "Step over him and come up here in next case." Somebody called EMT. It was like, so we kept going while the person was on the floor until somebody came in and they dragged the person out. And I thought, this is day one. This is day one, and that was day one, and it never stopped. It was like you just saw the underbelly of the United States, right? Which most people don't want to see. You look at a crime show, but when you're in it and you see it and you see, like, okay, how come everybody in jail is in jail for drugs, and how come they're all black?
Mhm.
Because I went to college with at Columbia, and a lot of my friends were white, and they used drugs right and left and up and center, and
Mhm.
had no fear of being stopped, no fear of being searched. But in the black community, everybody's in jail for what everyone else is doing. 20% of the population, both white and black, use drugs,
Mhm.
but a large portion of people in jail for it are black. So I got to see that every day, right? This disparity every day.
Mhm.
You look at the statistics. We don't need to go into that. So that's
Sure.
that part. Then there's the other part of everyday life in America being hard, right? And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you make 100,000 or 200,000 or 30,000. We all got to deal with. We got to get to work. We're all on the expressway at 8, blowing horns, people cursing at you, blah blah blah. You deal with that. You deal with the fact that whatever your income level is, no matter how hard you work, you don't seem to be getting anywhere, right? If you have kids and you put them in private school because you want to give them a better education, it's like you're putting them in college. It costs so much. So now you got to make more money to keep this up. If you bought a house, if you bought a luxury car, you shouldn't have done it. Now you got to make more money to pay for this freaking car. If you leased the car, I remember I leased the Jag thing. Oh, I got a Jag. That Jag killed me. So now I had to
you looked good in it until it killed you.
I'm learning hard way, just like everybody else, that this complex system of getting you to buy things you don't need puts you in debt, stresses you out to enormous amounts so that you can show off to people that you don't even know, right? But it takes a while for you to look at yourself and look at this whole system from outside. If you look at you on your daily basis, you're just trying to get to work. You're not looking at, what am I doing here? How is this going to get better? And if you look, if I'm at this job for another 10 years, what's going to change? Maybe I make $5,000 more. Maybe I make $10,000 more. But is that going to make a difference? And when am I going to be happy? When am I going to take a vacation? How long can I take a vacation? If you got a job and you take more than a week, everybody's like, where's so-and-so? Where's Deanna? She's not here. You're worried about losing your job. So a lot of people don't even take their vacation, right? So you got to start thinking about, if I'm not happy, what am I going to do to change this? Because happiness don't just show up. You got to go get it.
Well, it's interesting because you're talking about couple different things. So starting with like racial discrepancies, but a lot of what you're talking about is what supposedly is the American dream, which is interesting because we're talking about the American dream for everyone to have more, bigger house, bigger car, raise your thing. And that our whole premise of the American dream is actually stressful. And maybe what it sounds like you're saying is there actually is a problem with the whole idea of what it is that we're supposed to want, which every time I say that, because I'm a marketer, I'm like, those damn marketers, I'm sorry, I'm part of the problem.
It is Madison Avenue. They literally have commercials like, we're coming out with the new Lexus. It has vibrating seats and heated seats. I live in Miami. Why need a heated seat?
Okay. I love heated seats in my car. I'm sorry. That's like my favorite thing. Now, vibrating seat sounds like it would be really distracting, but heated seat when it's cold, it's like my favorite thing. So
see, they got you. They do heated seats.
Yeah.
But before, when you were growing up, there were no heated seats. You were fine, right? In your parents' car without heated seats.
The first time I drove, I borrowed a friend's car. This is all the way back. I didn't even know they had them. This literally goes back to the 90s. I borrowed a friend's car who had heated seats, and I had never heard of them. I thought the engine was catching on fire because the seat was getting so hot.
Yes. See, that's how they get you. So now, if you want to get out of that matrix, because we call it the matrix, if you want to get out of that, you got to start figuring out what is going to make me happy, and where is that going to be, and how's that going to look like, right? So, if in fact one of the reasons you're totally stressed out is because of the American dream thing, then you got to get out of that. So, what makes you happy? Well, actually, less stuff makes you happy. Less. For example, right? In Costa Rica, the first car I wanted to ship a car over there. We need a car. We were like riding around on bikes in a little motor scooter, which is fine. But then it rains sometimes, so we kind of need a car. So I went to an auction and got this what was it? A German car, a Volkswagen Jetta GLI with a sports package. I got it at the auction. I got a good price on it. I bid everybody for it. We got this car. I get it over to Costa Rica. We living on some bumpy, rocky road. The car's too low. it's fast, but we live in a town with no red lights and one main road. What this car is doing here is I busted the oil pan on a rock because it's too low, and everybody at the mechanic's like, this car is not good for here. I'm like, you think?
That's so funny. Well, it's like Brianna even asked, so how do you define what is enough now? Has your perspective changed since moving to Costa Rica? And I do want to actually also what is enough, but this whole idea, because you said when you realize the American dream's not for me, I need something else. That's the part I think a lot of people have trouble with is how do you even envision and decide that you can have something so different, something else? Because moving to a whole other country to create a life that you envision, Like, that's really empowering. People say they want to have control of their lives, but how do you make that transition to be like, I'm going to leave everything I know, go someplace else? So talk about that, but then I also want to talk about how, because you had talked about, but we're not colonizers. We're not taking our American dream and moving it someplace else. You're literally creating a world
Right.
for that integrates to where you are. Did that require a mind shift? How do you even do that?
Well, actually, my family's Jamaican, and I was, as a boy, raised in Port Antonio, Jamaica, right? So I have a third world experience inside of me already from my boyhood, right? And so I have seen in my travels Americans. I remember one time I was in France, and these American people from Texas had their big hat on, and they were just really loud, and they were going, "Garçon, garçon, come over here." And I felt embarrassed to be an
Wait,
American.
at least they didn't say Garcon.
You know, Americans make me feel embarrassed when I'm traveling a lot. You know, the arrogance of it. They're not trying to learn the culture, trying to just be a colonizer basically and throw your money around like they're impressed with that. And really, it's very insulting to the people of the country that you're visiting. So I was conscious of that before I started my travels to try to find what country I wanted to be in. And I knew that the lifestyle I wanted was similar to the one of my boyhood, where I would take out my goats in the morning and I would walk down to this beautiful lagoon and jump in the ocean and all of that. So I'm like, well, I want that kind of life. And most people want that kind of life. And if you look at every commercial, there's like, find your beach, right? There's a guy on the beach with a Corona and he's living it up. That's what everybody wants. So I want that too. I lived it as a childhood, and as a child, I want it back. So in order to make this work, right, you have to find a country where your American dollars will go further to get this kind of lifestyle. And Costa Rica is one of those countries. Mexico is another one of those countries where you can have money that's not that much in America, but is a lot there, right? And so now if you want that beach lifestyle, you can afford it there. So then you got to think about, okay, healthcare, am I safe? Those kinds of things. Costa Rica handles all of those things quite well. So my search was long. It was like a 10, 12-year search of going to the Belize, the Bahamas, Panama. Jamaica was out for reasons I don't want to discuss, but Jamaica was not one of the countries I even considered because of the changes from my boyhood to now. So Costa Rica, after all of these other countries, fit the bill, right? And the Bahamas and stuff was out because islands are difficult, because islands do not get your money's worth because everything's imported. So if you
So it's really expensive. Sure.
Right, it's expensive as heck. But you get a Jamaican lifestyle in Costa Rica without being in Jamaica, right? And without being on an island. So labor is cheap. Food is cheap. All of these things are cheap. Cars are expensive. Big ticket items are expensive, like cars. But the stuff of life is very affordable. And then you have healthy food, right? Because they don't like pesticides. So when you go to the market or you go to the local market, they just picked it that day. There's dirt still on the vegetables, right? So you're getting the best food, healthy food, beautiful environment. They care about nature. They don't allow you to build on the beach. So when you go on the beach, it's full of trees and there's monkeys at some of the beach over your head, and you're living on the beach, there's a monkey above you. That can't happen in the U.S. because they put a hotel on every strip of land that there is. There's not a tree anywhere on South Beach. You go to South Beach, it's just sand. And
right. It's just sand and long. Well, Brianna wonders, like, why do you think, and I would probably be with him, people envision this life they want, but they don't think it's really possible for them. Like,
because
what do you think
America
stops
makes you
people?
believe, one, that it's the greatest country in the world, which is not true. America is the greatest military in the world and the greatest economic engine in the world. But after that, forget it. Healthcare, forget it. Happiness, forget it. All the other things that really make you happy, does the government really care about you? No. No, it doesn't.
Mm.
Basically, we have millions of people with no health care and no chance of health care. They're going to die young because they can't afford to see a
Wait,
doctor.
no, you can get healthcare if you'll pay $30,000 a year plus a $17,000 deductible.
But
Come on.
but that puts you back on the hamster wheel, though, right?
That's insane. Oh, it's
That's the hamster
completely
wheel because
insane.
now you
It's
got to pay all
completely
that money
insane.
for your
Yep.
health care.
Yep.
You can't quit your job because you're going to lose your health care. See,
Oh, yep. Yeah. So
that's the
for
thing
mhm.
that keeps people here. Like, I can't quit. I lose my health care because you're on the hamster wheel. I'm losing my health care. Oh my God. What about the mortgage on my house, which is way high?
Mhm.
The taxes I got to pay. So now
Mhm.
you're thinking about it, but you're too scared because of all of this stuff,
Mhm.
right? So to prepare, you have to start shedding things. Things got to go. Things that you don't
Mhm.
need. Start shedding. You got to get light. You got to be like a lightweight boxer. Like boom, 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 boom. You can just move, shut it down. You can't be heavy with all of
Mhm.
this stuff, right? And you
Mhm.
can't let your kids stop you either, because people think, oh, my kids, they got schools there. They got schools there.
Mhm.
And wouldn't it be a great thing for your kids to actually learn another language and another culture?
Mhm.
And don't we want our kids to be worldly?
Right, global citizens for sure.
Yes, because that's
Well,
actually where you make more money now, right? If your child could speak Mandarin, are you kidding me right now?
mhm.
Right? If you speak Spanish, how much of the world is opened up if your child speaks Spanish? It's
Right,
so
if you
much
speak
of it.
another language.
How much more marketable are you if you can
Mhm.
speak French and Spanish and German? Europeans speak like 5 and 6 languages. We speak one.
Mhm.
We speak one.
Mhm.
So how are we the greatest country? We're not. We're not. We're the
Mhm.
greatest economic engine, and we can blow up anybody else's country. But after that, we're not. It's certainly not number one in education. Absolutely not. That's why
Mhm.
Google has to keep bringing in
Mhm.
foreigners to fill the spots, because we don't have enough people to fill the high-tech jobs,
Mhm.
right? So we're not the greatest country in the world.
Mhm. I have a question for you, and I don't mean to insert race where race isn't there,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes I wonder, and this does go back to though, talking about in terms of how Lifeaholic was created, because it was actually saying this isn't the greatest country, and particularly as a person of color, like seeing the inequities and saying it's not for me. And I wonder, so this could be, I could be making something two-dimensional when it doesn't need to be, but I wonder if it's here's where I have to put up my is there a question in there? I'm just going to blabber. But I think what I'm trying to say is, do you think that a person of color might see this as not the greatest country in the world? Do you think that comes more readily? Or
I
is that
think it's easier. It's much easier
okay?
for us to feel that way, because I feel it when I'm in the States. I feel it. I literally feel it. If I turn on the news and see, oh, they didn't want to count the votes in Fulton County. Well, that's black people's votes in Fulton County they don't want to count. Everywhere that there's voting fraud is, oh, a black place. Oh, black votes don't matter. We've been going through that for hundreds of years now. It's enough. So if you're a person of color, you can look at this and go, as I do, this is not getting better. It's actually getting worse. We're
Mhm,
going back. So a person of color is like ready to go, like
mhm,
ready. And so Lifeaholic Costa Rica was born from that feeling that both of my wife and I have, and that all of our friends have. All of our friends have the same feeling, 100%. It's not like some people go, oh, I want to stay here. Everybody's like, boy, if I could get out, I would.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and so what's interesting, what is also is because a lot of people who watch the show are business owners. So it is about how do you build a business, how do you build your life. So with Lifeaholic Costa Rica, it's not only we want to get out, we're doing it, we figured out the way to do it, but it's a business model now
Mm-hmm. So
where
it grew
you're actually
organically.
it's almost like doing fam trips, familiarization trips,
Mm-hmm.
helping other people realize how they could do this life. How has that been working? How does that work?
It like I said, it was organic. So when we got there, of course, the first thing you want to do is become a part of the community,
Mhm.
get to know people. So we moved. We didn't. I don't believe in gated communities. Going to Costa Rica and living in a gated community. I wanted to live with the people. So we did. We lived right on the road with the local people. That's the first thing. The second thing is we got to know other expats that had come, and we became friends, and we started
Okay.
growing from there. Then what occurred is, as we became more known throughout the community, um, everyone started asking us, how do we move? How do we move? And we were getting delusional. Everybody like, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you? So we decided, let's just make it formal. Let's make a business out of it, because I mean, we really have a lot of knowledge to give now.
Mm-hmm.
The mistakes that we made, no one else has to make those mistakes. Like the car that I bought, you don't have to make that mistake. I'll tell you, don't get that car. Get an SUV, something high off the ground. Just little things like that are valuable to people,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's how that came about. And so when Lifeaholic Costa Rica was born, it's led to some other things. So now we have another business called Que Pasa Puerto, which is a directory, a local directory for all the businesses to put online, and an app that's coming out in about another
Is there a
couple weeks.
website like a
Que
kpasapuerto.com?
Pasa Puerto is a website, and it has those codes. You know how you put your phone up to the thing and then
Mm-hmm.
it comes up?
Oh, like a QR code.
A
Yep.
QR code. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can see I'm not Mr. Tech. Yeah, it has the QR codes and all of that. And so when the app comes out, we're going to have a launch party, make a big deal out of it, and everybody can download the app and then find out where the restaurants are, who's the local cab drivers, who's singing tonight and where, and it's going to be awesome. And it's already started to get a lot of people. So
which actually relates to Brianna's question, which sounds like, how have you found that the locals embrace expats?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So that goes back to not being a colonizer, right? Because even though I'm a person of color, and this part of Costa Rica is Jamaican descendants live in this part. So it's really like being in Jamaica, but you're in Costa Rica. And the people that own the land are Jamaican descendants. So this is a black part of Costa Rica. But we're still American, right? So what has happened is we want to make an effort to not be the Americans coming to exploit, because we're thought of as having more money than the locals, blah, blah, blah. We bought land, we built a container home. So
I do want to show a picture of the container home. You know, the other thing too, Greg, that's so interesting when you talk about we're Americans is that there's the whole thing where we have the division inside the US where we're like, oh, I'm African American, I'm Jewish American, I'm this American. As soon as you leave the US, it sounds like what you found immediately is like, we're just all American. Yeah.
I'm an American, right. So whether you're a Caucasian American or a Black American, you're an American. And you're an American, and all the stereotypes of Americans come with you. So it's up to you to show that you're there to be a part of the community. We want to pay taxes. We now have our temporary residency. We put on events all the time, and we do a lot of work for the local kids that are not doing so well. There was some mudslides, and we did a drive with all the expats. We raised a lot of money. We delivered a lot of food. There's some kids that are really good athletes. They don't have money for uniforms and shoes. We did a drive. We got them their shoes and uniforms. They sent back the pictures about here now on our shoes and uniforms, and we helped them raise enough money for them to go on tour for their sport.
Oh, that's great.
So we are part of things. We use local vendors for everything. They know who we are. We know who they are. So now we're not Americans anymore. Now we're part of the community. We're intertwined, and people love us, and we love them back. And so Costa Rica is already a friendly place. But when you put out that you love them and you love their country, and we're not trying to be America, we're not trying to change their country. I'm learning Spanish. My wife is fluent. You know, we're not sitting here trying to like just say, oh, we're Americans, we got money, let's do this and let's. No, we're part of the community. And that's the best way. If you're going to make this move, that's the best way you're going to have the best experience. Because you're really a part of a community. You're part of a neighborhood. People invite us over to their house. We invite them over to our house. You know, the people that we've met and then live there. So we have expat friends and local friends. We have both, right? We just didn't stay within our expat friends.
Which is interesting when you talk. Yeah, because the original conversation, you know, so many people talk about building community online. I know you and Davia actually met through cycling communities online in two different sides of the country, but we talk about building community, and now you're doing it in real life. But I love that idea that building community is, yes, embracing like-minded people from around the globe who want to come here, but community is also then how do you lay roots to where you are as well.
Right. I mean, you don't go to a place because it's beautiful and then you want to isolate yourself. Why would you do that? That's I mean, and I think a lot of Americans do that. They look at Costa Rica as like they want to go to a place where it's like a wall. Like in America, like you go to a gated community and there's a wall and you got a security and you go in. Like you could have stayed in America for that. Like you really wanted to be a part of Costa Rica, but
so being
you're
out in
a
community,
up on a hill somewhere, down looking on everybody else.
Mhm.
That's not, to me, that's not, you're not being Costa Rican, right?
Mhm.
Because I actually consider myself Costa Rican now. I don't
You do
actually think of
now.
myself
Yeah.
as American first. I think I'm Costa Rican. I act like it. I'm trying my best to speak like it. You know, that's a
Mhm.
lot of work, but I'm working on it.
Oh, well, and so in leaving, so you had stereotypes, let's say prejudices here in the US, you moved there. Have you found any whether it's maybe gender stereotypes or things like that that you found there,
Well, yeah.
maybe related to construction or something?
Yeah. You know, so Davia and I kind of have a reverse relationship where she loves to build things.
Mhm.
Like my desk in the office in Costa Rica is something she built by hand. She gets the wood, she puts on tools, and I can't drive a nail. So when we're doing this project, she's the project manager and I'm above her. I'm like the big boss, but she's the project manager.
Mhm.
So I'm on site and the construction workers are asking questions about what they should do, how they should lay the cement and this and that. And they're looking right at me because it's a male dominated society.
Sure.
Totally male dominated. But my wife is really the project manager. I have no idea where you're going to lay this concrete, how it's going to be done. So I'm standing there and I'm like, boo, how is this going to be done?
Oh, so you're trying to save face a little bit, like, tell me what to say.
After a while, I didn't even show up because after a while they were like, okay, she's the jefe. They started calling her jefe.
Jefe? Oh, I love it.
Jefa. They just say jefa.
I love it. So Yolanda says, my dream is, it was to build a container home in Jamaica. Now it may shift to Costa Rica. So first of all, hi, Yolanda. Thanks for being here, and Brianna as well. So the container home, this is actually 2 containers. I was shocked. This is a container home.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So we are almost out of time too. So just
Mhm.
quick so Yolanda, I'm going to put the website back up because both Greg and Davia can literally tell you everything you need to know about doing this. So there's a map there, but I can't believe those are all container homes.
Yeah,
It's just
you
about
can really do
downsizing,
a
but then what
lot with them.
happens here?
Yeah, they're only limited by your imagination because they're also stackable, as you can see in those pictures you're showing. How
And
you
these
can
are
get the
literally
second
shipping
floor.
containers.
Yeah, they're shipping containers. They're
Mhm.
40-foot long, 8-foot wide shipping containers. You can cut them in the way you want to cut them. As you can see, you can cut windows, you can cut doors.
Wow.
We put bathrooms in ours. I mean, the bathrooms are in there and everything. So and what's great about it is you don't need a lot of permits for those because you're not building, you're stacking. The roof is already on it, right? So you don't have to get the roofing guy to come over and say, let me see your permit. There's no permits for this. You just put it up. So it's a great affordable way to build, whether you want to do rental property or whether you want to live in it yourself. And you could also do container pools. So we plan on
you fill it with water?
Yeah, you dig a hole, you put the container in there, you fill it in water, put a pump in it, boom, pool, done. So yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So all right, so for Brianna, for Yolanda, here it is. Lifeaholic CostaRica.com. They literally have they have hour-long consultations where you can ask all your questions. They have trips where you can go actually try it out and actually see what it's like
and have your whole itinerary planned for you. We have it all set up. So if you want to come and just experience it, which is because I recommend if you want to move to a country, that you spend some time there first. You should
right. Just saying.
Just come check it out. See if that's your vibe. Because this town has a real yoga, mystical vibe. Everybody's like got different names now. Guy named called John.
And by the way,
everybody
I love that.
Names.
Yeah. And we did not talk about this, but Greg, people are bringing families there. You and Davia have 12-year-old twins. I mean, people are moving their whole families. This is not like I'm just leaving.
Yeah.
I can't believe this because we could clearly talk for hours, but we are at the time of the show where it's time for the flash exercise. So I explained to Greg, the flash exercise is, people don't know this little known genre called interpretive aerobics, the deeper meaning of fitness, which each week I come up with an exercise that relates to the theme of our show. I'm going to make me full screen for a second, show you the exercise, invite you to do it with me. And then I will, of course, invite you, Greg, to join me with that. So I'm going to make myself full screen for a second. So this exercise is, I'm going to stand for it. So this is I would call it, it's a back exercise. So what it looks like is you've got one arm comes back. You want to feel your shoulder blade cross center line, and then you straighten that arm to the back. Here, I'll do it from the side. So you come back, and then you switch. So each time we're doing two things. We've got your upper back when your shoulder blade crosses line, but then your hips stay facing forward as you rotate. So you're getting your obliques as well. So I'm going to bring Greg back with me. Greg, can you show me that exercise as well?
I'm going to try.
All right.
You're saying you want to squat down?
Yeah, so you squat down. Yep, you got one arm goes front. Yep, your hips stay facing forward as you twist and extend. You got it. And twist and extend. Okay. Now, do you know why I picked that exercise for you?
Why?
Do you have any guess at all?
Because you know about my back.
Oh no, what's your so actually, because we didn't get to talk about this, but I'm going to put up fan mail first. So Yolanda, I'll make sure you get in touch with Greg. Yolanda's going to be in Costa Rica next August. So,
okay.
And Stephanie, who also is a great leader and brave person in and of herself, says this is very inspiring. Admire your bravery, which, I think for a lot of people are like, I couldn't do that. All right. The reason this is because, do you know, they start the kids on surf therapy. Could you imagine like on surf therapy? We in the US send our children to like counselors. So, which sometimes, granted, that's absolutely needed, but I felt like that was like surfing, like you're like dun, 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 dun. So that was my
correct.
That was my aerobics interpretation of surf therapy. So this was fantastic. Thank you so much, Greg. I had so much fun. We could talk for hours. I'm just, just from the envisioning of, I don't like the way things here, so I'm going to envision how I go someplace else. I love your stories about the car, just because you took all your American things that I'm going to get stuff here, but then learned, from being there and from trusting people who know it, that that's not the way to do it. And then turning it into a business model, and the fluidity because of, staying with your connections and your business as a lawyer, but then connections to here. Like, what an amazing lifestyle. And it feels, I'm feeling the freedom that you've created for you in your life. And I love that you've given yourself permission to do that, but now we're actually helping other people as well. So thank you for sharing all of that with us. So grateful.
Take care, Dan.
Take care as well. Happy holidays to everyone. We are going to be on a little bit of a break for the end of the year. Speaking of giving yourself a break, Greg, stay on for 1 second. Everyone else, thank you so much. Happy and healthy holidays. Happy New Year. And we'll see you in January. Thanks for joining us on Intercultural Spark.